No judgment, just real talk. This is the Apology Accepted podcast. The views expressed on the Apology Accepted podcast are those of the host and guest and do not reflect the views of any affiliate organization or individual. The content is for informational and entertainment purposes only and should not be considered professional advice. For personal, legal, or emotional matters, please consult a qualified professional. By continuing to listen to this podcast, you acknowledge and accept this disclaimer. Hey friends, welcome back to another episode of the Apology Accepted podcast. I am your host, Latisha Monique, and this week I want to talk about letting go of the past, how to release emotional baggage. In this episode, I will address the power of letting go and moving forward. We'll explore why emotional baggage linger, how it impacts our relationships and mental well-being, and most importantly, the actionable steps you can take to finally free yourself from the past. Recognizing the signs of unresolved hurt, practicing forgiveness, shifting your mindset, and creating healthy habits that promote healing. Whether you're struggling with past betrayals, regrets, or self-doubt, this conversation will help you break free and reclaim your power. Tune in for my personal tips, my personal insight, and transformative exercises that will help you move forward with clarity, confidence, and peace. Let's unpack this emotional baggage. What is emotional baggage? Emotional baggage refers to unresolved emotions, past traumas, or negative experiences that still affect our thoughts, our behaviors, and our relationships. You may think you've moved on from a past hurt, but certain triggers like a song, a smell, or even a random comment suddenly brings up intense emotions. This is a sign that you haven't fully processed that pain. And I know this all too well. If you follow the Apology Accepted podcast when I first started, I think a year ago, I told a story referencing to my childhood. How my mom's side of the family didn't like my dad's side of the family didn't like my mom. It was just always this friction. And I personally never knew where this friction started from until I spent more and more time around my dad's nieces, where they shared stories. And the stories came from, my mom and another young lady my dad was seeing. And of course, those who have been following me and that follow me know that my dad has another child and we're 3 months apart. And of course, the baby mamas didn't like each other at first. And I think at one point, the baby mamas became cordial because of the children. All right. So now we have all of these different stories. And because my dad was not able to really just say what it was to not only his family, meaning his sister, who really spread a lot of the drama that was going on. He just really couldn't, he wasn't in a state of mind to make sure everybody knew the actual truth. So now the nieces follow mom and tell these stories in which they think are the truth. Okay, cool. And those are the stories that I heard. Those are the stories that I ran with. Why? Because my mom didn't talk about it at all. Like, my mom gave it, to me, no attention. My mom ain't never say anything to me. Now, what she might have said to somebody else, Hey, I don't know. But to me, she never said anything. And so the stories that I got was the only stories that I heard from my dad's nieces. Now, I'm thinking, okay, I'm a part of this family. We all supposed to be family and cousins, and I'm a niece here and all of these things, and we all love each other, even though we do have a silly person, which would be my dad, who's just out here living his best life. All right, cool. We understand that. But I'm still family. This child is still family. And we're going to, live happily ever after as best cousins. Well, no, that is not the case. That was not the case. And it became so evident that I was not only was I not wanted, but I was not liked. And I guess as time progressed, you can't really hide who you truly are. You can pretend for as long as you can, but you can't really pretend but for so long. And I think as my dad nieces got older, it was just harder to pretend that they like me and that they will tolerate me. My dad's other child was the chosen child. She was the chosen child for the family. And I never understood that because I'm like, all right, well, we both, was brought into a situation that we had absolutely no control over. We were just two kids born into this chaotic situation. And so I did have a conversation with my dad, and his response to me was, well, your mom didn't bring you around a lot and you wasn't around as much. Pause. What? Um, I don't know. I don't know why that was even a thing because I wasn't around as much. And anyone that knows my mom know she is not a person to beg. She, okay, y'all don't want, to have anything to do with my children? Cool. I'll keep my children over here. It's no biggie. My mom never spoke negatively to me in reference to my dad or his family. But I'm pretty sure she had her choice words because I know my mom. But that's probably conversations that she had with my aunties and her friends and things like that. Never to me as the child. And so I never really could get a clear answer from my mom in reference to this whole ordeal and how it went down. And again, my dad could only tell me that I wasn't around. And so, yeah, that was a thing. And so, even being around my dad nieces at a young age, I could see the favoritism. But I'm a kid and I wanted to be over there and I wanted to play with, girls because when I was around my cousins on my mom's side, it was boys that was my age. And so, the older cousins, everybody that was older, they kind of did their own thing. And then, it was like me and guys. And so to go over my dad's and his side of the family, it was more girls. And so that's where I wanted to be. I wanted to be with the girls. I wanted to be prissy. I wanted to cheer. I wanted to dress up. And I looked up to them in so many different ways. Like I remember one of my dad's nieces, she was a flag girl in the band. And I remember the first time I seen her perform, I was like, ooh, I want to do that. I want to do that and I want to be just like. And so, yeah, I did it. My high school year, I tried out, made it, made the band, and became a flag girl because I wanted to show them that, hey, I I'm good, y'all. I want to be a part of this family. So, yeah, that wasn't the case. It was just not the case for me. And so social media is where I think it really hit the fan for me, in my face, so to speak, where I joined Facebook in 2009. 2009, I joined Facebook, and I remember that, because that's the year me and my husband purchased our first home. And so I remember, my HR director, telling me about social media and telling me about Facebook. Because at the time, I think I was on like MySpace or something. I don't know. But anyway, she was like, all the adults are on Facebook. I was like, oh, let me get a Facebook. Anyway, so I started connecting with, of course, quote and unquote, family on social media. And the triggers start. It was post after post of seeing, cookouts, gatherings, celebrations in which I was not invited to none. Okay? Zero. I would look and be like, dang, did I miss a phone call? Did I miss a text message? Did I miss anything? Now, to be fair, I don't think everybody on my dad's side had my phone number, because prior to me getting on social media, I didn't talk to them folks. Not in the form of, we cool every day. Now, it was one of my dad's older nieces that I did talk to more. And that was because my children went to the daycare. And I felt comfortable with my children going to the daycare because I had a family member there. And yes, so I would talk to her more than anyone else. But again, not really the best relationship where we picking up the phone, calling each other, and inviting. However, it wasn't a situation where it couldn't happen. It just didn't happen. And so, and it didn't happen on both parts. Like, I didn't do it, they didn't do it. So seeing all of these things on social media was very triggering for me. And so I had to make a decision, because again, like I said, we think we have moved on, but really, did we? Really? Because we think we've moved on from those past hurt, but triggers, man, oh my gosh, it is like one of these things that you cannot ignore. As much as you may try to ignore a trigger that just happened in front of your face, you may try your damnedest to ignore it, but for me, it didn't happen. It did not happen. And it brought back all of these emotions and feelings, and it took me right back to childhood, where I thought I left all that foolishness. And as an adult, having those trigger moments, flashbacks of childhood situations, it was just, it was awful. It was awful, okay? And so what I had to do is I had to make a decision. And the crazy part about it is, when I made the decision, I was not in therapy at that time. So I had to make a decision on my own without professional help guiding me, right? Because the therapy helps guide for plans. And I didn't have that at the moment of me making this decision. So I made the decision abruptly and said, hey, look, I can't even follow and be friends with these people on social media. I just can't. And I don't want to feel like what they're doing is wrong, because it's not. They're doing what family does. But I don't want it in my face either, because this is a family that at one point I would do anything to be a part of. And so, no, I no longer want it. And so, goodbye. Disconnect. And I had to do that and understand again at the time of me doing this, I had no professional help. However, I did know and understood the importance of journaling. And I have talked about journaling in so many episodes because it is so important to write down your emotions, especially if you're someone such as myself, where I suffer from anxiety and depression. And sometimes I'm not able to talk out what I'm feeling. Sometimes I have to go to paper because I get to say exactly what I want to say. I don't have to be like so correct in using the right words, and I can just jot. And that's what my journal looks like. It looks like a jot, a doodle. Uh, I I don't think nobody will be able to read it. It's nothing that I have this neat journal and I'm just focused on my writing. No, my journal is messy, and I know I have a lot of misspelled words. I don't have no periods, no commas. I don't have, it's just run on sentences, is what a lot of pages of my journal looks like. Because in the moments of me needing that outlet, I find the time to jot. That's what helps me. And that's why I talk about journaling a lot, because journaling about emotional triggers and identifying recurring negative thoughts to pinpoint unresolved pain will help us so much. And we have to understand that this is not going to be anything that is easy for us to do, but we have to identify what causes the trigger. And when you are triggered, you feel it. Like me being triggered, I feel it deep. Okay? Like really, really deep. And it is not a good feeling. It's not a good feeling to be triggered. And so we have to first know what emotional baggage is, right? And then we identify our triggers, and don't be real with yourself when identifying triggers, because I know I wasn't real with myself. And maybe because I was a kid just wanting to be a part of this raggedy, no, this family, and so even though I would emotionally feel detached or not really right as a kid around, my dad, nieces, and sisters, I still wanted to be around. And so as a kid, I didn't know what that feeling was. I didn't know that was a trigger, but being an adult, yeah, that was a trigger. I just didn't know it at the time because I was a kid. So we, as adults, we definitely need to make sure we identify what triggers us. Then we work on the power of forgiveness. Not only forgiveness for ourselves, but for others. Forgiveness isn't about excusing bad behavior, but about freeing ourselves from resentment. Y'all know that Beyonce song, Resentment? I don't know. Anyway, I like that song of Beyonce's. I'm not a part of the Beehive, but I do like that song. Anyway, we have to forgive in spaces where we will never forget. And let me just share this tidbit. This is how the Apology Accepted podcast became a thing. Apology accepted. And I used to say that a lot because what helped me is I first had to accept my own apology. I had to first apologize to myself for putting myself through some of the things that I put myself through, knowing that it will affect me negatively. So I had to put my big girl pants on and look in the mirror and say, you know what? You did some messed up stuff to yourself. You brought a lot of things on yourself. And I apologize to myself for that. And then I had to accept apologies that I would never hear. I would never hear some of the apologies that I've accepted. And so someone might say, well, how in the hell do you accept something that you ain't never heard before? Well, here's how. I just say, okay, I forgive. Forgiveness. I haven't forgotten, but I forgave. I've accepted the apology for it, and that has helped me move forward. I love to do guided meditation. Meditation to me is so relaxing. It helps with just train of thought. And so if you have never tried guided meditation, it is definitely something to try. Also, writing a release letter. A letter you never send, but it allows you to express and let go of the pain. Now, I've done that before too. I've done a release letter. I've done we had a bonfire one time where we wrote stuff down that we wanted to burn and forget and never think about again. And so those are nice too. But yes, I definitely recommend, if you have never done a release letter, to do a release letter. It is very refreshing. And then after doing a release letter, then do some meditation. And then after that, after your meditation, follow it up with journaling. The most relaxed day. And do it in a space of calmness, cleanness. Because one thing, and I'm just being transparent right now, one thing I can't do is I cannot meditate or journal in a area where it is just messy. Like, my mind won't allow me to be in my calmest state. So if I'm trying to meditate or journal and I got like a lot of stuff that's around me, if I can see like papers or books, if I can see like clothes on the floor, if I can see one shoe, the left shoe is on one side and the right shoe is on the other side, I won't be able to focus. So I will suggest you be in the calmest state possible when doing your release letter. It is so helpful. I lie to you not. And let me just also add this. Forgiveness, I know I said that like it's just the easiest thing in the world, but it's not. And I still, to this day, even with recording this episode, I struggle with forgiveness. Because it's not easy. Because when you think about forgiving someone, you are thinking about forgiving their actions, forgiving all of the pain that was brought to you, forgiving the things in which of the manners in which you went through with this pain. Like, all of that is a part of forgiveness. And once you forgive, it's a saying that once you forgive, then that's the end, because you forgave. You can't forgive and then bring back up to whomever that hurt you and be in this negative space. Because if that is the case, then you didn't truly forgive. And so I am still learning full forgiveness because this is hard. This is very hard. Now, I wish no ill will on anyone. I know technically that my dad peoples is my peoples. Like, technically, that, I mean, I can't change the DNA, okay? Um, but it's hard. It is hard to forgive sometimes. And another thing that is really hard that I've learned is when you are trying to forgive in a space where you don't even know. Like, you're trying to forgive from a space of, I don't even understood. I don't even understand how it got here. Like, how did it get here? I don't even fully understand here. And I think that's where one of my issues are, with this situation in particular, because I don't even know the actual starting point of this whole foolery. The actual starting point. Because it was adults doing and living their best life and doing whatever they wanted to do. So I don't really know how it got here. So forgiving the unknown really is definitely something that is hard as well. So I don't want you guys to think that I'm just saying, oh, just go out here and forgive everything. No, forgiveness is a process. It is a process, and it is not a fun process. Not for me. I'm going to only speak for me. For me, forgiveness is not it is not a fun process. And anyone that has ever forgiven someone for real, like really, really forgave, you find yourself in a situation where now you see this person and you're able to at least smile and wave, maybe. But if those feelings come up, then, those negative, intense, triggering feelings, then that's when you will know that you haven't really went through the forgiveness process. Because that is one daunting process. Now, after forgiving, after going through this process, let's just say we have successfully went through the power of forgiveness. We understand, we have done it, we have prayed on it, we have spoke it, we have done our release letter, we have done all of the things to get us in a better space. Now what do? We have to create daily habits that supports our emotional healing. Now the key word here is support. Not just create daily habits, because we can do that without saying. We have to create daily habits that support our emotional healing, such as, y'all know what I'm going to say, journaling. But no, and I said this in another episode too, starting your morning off with positive morning affirmations, like as a routine. Like, that is something that you do when you wake up. You hit the play button and you listen to your positive affirmation, or you go to your Bible verse. For those who may be listening, that this is what you do, you read the Bible. Go to your verse, whatever your verse is, read it. If that verse keeps you in a healthy mind state, then make that a part of your daily habit. Doing anything that will bring a positive support to your emotional healing. Over time, you will notice the shift in your self-confidence. You will notice how you will move differently. You will notice how you will talk differently. You will notice how the conversations that you have with certain individuals will be different, and not different in a negative way. It'll definitely be all positive movements, but you will see once you're able to create that daily habit that support your emotional healing, you will definitely become this different person. And I'm not talking physically. I'm not saying you're going to look. Well, you know what? You might look different. Because I do have people that say, oh, you're glowing. And they expect me to say, girl, I'm expecting. No, ma'am. Uh, my glow is from my positive daily habits that support my emotional healing. So, am I carrying something? Absolutely. Is it a human? Absolutely not. so, so a simple 5-minute daily self-care practice. Again, I spoke about this in previous episodes. Deep breathing, mindful walks, positive affirmations. Just these are just some of the things to reinforce your emotional growth. That's it. Don't be afraid to forgive. Don't be afraid to talk out loud. Because I know, some people like, well, you talking out loud to yourself, you crazy. No. Don't be afraid to talk out loud. Don't be afraid of your truth. Why? Because it's your truth. You can't change it. You cannot change it. And that's something that I had to learn. These folks are family. Again, I can't change my DNA. I can just change my situation and how I maneuver with individuals. That's it. That's all I can change. I don't want you guys to think that this is going to be easy, because it is not. And even with me just sharing this story brings up a lot of emotions, because who wants to be in situations like this where you're not dealing with family? And I know we have so many people that are in this type of situation, but it's not a situation in which you would have chose. Okay? So again, forgiveness is not just for the person that you are forgiving. It is also for yourself. As we come to the end of this episode, I just want to remind you all that your healing journey is yours, and it doesn't have to look like anyone else's. Please do not compare your journey with anyone else. Releasing emotional baggage doesn't mean forgetting the past. It means refusing to let it control your future. Every small step you take, whether it's acknowledging your pain, setting boundaries, or choosing forgiveness, is a step towards freedom. I challenge you all to take one action today. Maybe that's journaling your thoughts, having an honest moment of self reflection, or even just saying, I am ready to let go. Whatever it is, honor where you are in your healing journey. If this episode spoke to you, I love to hear from you. I love to hear your thoughts. Send me a message. Share your biggest takeaway on social media and tag me at the Apology Accepted Podcast. I can be found on Facebook and Instagram at the Apology Accepted Podcast. I would love to connect with you all. And if you know someone who needs to hear this, share it with them. It might be exactly what they need. Make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss future episodes. And if you enjoyed this conversation, please leave me a review. It helps me find more people in the same spaces where healing is a thing. Okay? Thank you for listening and for allowing me to be a part of your journey. Until next time, be kind to yourself, trust the process, and remember, your healing is your power. I'll talk to you next time. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of the Apology Accepted podcast. I hope today's conversation sparked some growth for you. Be sure to subscribe and share with others who might need this reminder too. Until next time, you all, remember, healing starts with a simple apology. Take care.